Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Just want to welcome everyone today to day one of Manifesting Your Life. We are going to go through an amazing identity shift. So I'm really, really grateful that each and every one of you have joined me here today. It is extremely warm. It is extremely beautiful and sunny, and I am coming to you from the gorgeous south of Spain. So I am really, really, really happy that each and every one of you are here. Whether you are joining, just make sure I am unmuted. Yep. Whether you're joining live here in Zoom, whether you have came across this on social media, whether you're watching it on replay on the YouTube or even inside the Facebook community, I want you to know something before we begin. Okay? You are the most important person here in the room. So I want you to just hold that for a second. Not me, not the event, not the information, but you. So grab your notebook and pen if you have one, and just be present, be open, be ready to, number one, change your life, your future. This is about your peace, it's about your freedom, it's about your growth. Because over these next 3 days, this is not just about manifestation, okay? This is not just about trying to get things. This is about understanding yourself and understanding yourself at such a deeper level. This is about understanding your thoughts, okay? Some of us don't even realize it. We're thinking thoughts. It's about understanding your energy, the beliefs that each and every one of you have, the patterns, the possibilities, but most importantly, this is about understanding that your life can change. Not that you have to become someone else or someone different, but really truly understand that your life can change. And I mean truly change. So whenever I'm talking about change, I'm talking about, not trying, not just trying, not through force at all, not through pretending. A lot of people try and change your life through pretending. But the key point of this, each and every one of you, is it's not just trying to force it to happen, not just trying to make it happen, but really truly seeing that it's all possible for each and every one of us. Would I just, some things have just jumped up on my screen here. Would I just flip this around here one wee second? There we go. That happens whenever I should have everything closed off. There we go. We're getting there. We're there, we're there, we're there. Okay. So we're not going to force anything into existence. And this is where a lot of the beliefs that we have is about working harder, working, forcing, and thinking that, okay, maybe 2 months down the line, things will change. Maybe a year down the line, things will change. Maybe life will change when the kids get out of school. I want you to really hear me whenever I say this today, that this information that I'm going to share with you across these 3 days has the potential to completely and totally change your entire life. Totally change it when you apply it. And this is the main thing. It's not just gathering more information. We all can read the books. We all can, gather the information. We all can actually say it. We can always all know it. But there's a gap from knowing it to actually doing it. Knowing this material, knowing what it's about, knowing your standards, knowing your boundaries, but when you apply it into your life, it is completely and totally different. So this is where this information that I'm going to give you now, I want you to run with it. I want you to use it. I want you to apply it. And it's not because I'm special, although I do really truly believe that I am special now, but it's not because I'm special. And it's not because I have all answers, but it's about I've applied these principles onto my life. I've completely and totally applied them onto my life. And these principles have changed it, turned my life upside down, inside out, back to front. And this, I'm living proof that these principles actually work. And I know what it feels like when you're living a really disconnected life and when you're living disconnected from yourself, when you're living looking maybe and taking inspiration from other people and thinking, well, if they can do it, maybe I can do it as well. I know what it feels like to believe that life is just something to survive. I was getting up on a Monday thinking, if I can just get to the Friday, just get to the weekend. And that's not, judgment or not criticism of my older version of me, but I know what it's like just to get through the day. I know what it's like when you have to think about it's just something I have to push through, something that I have to work harder and harder and harder, and hoping that things are going to change. But what happens is things don't change until you change them. Things don't change until you become aware. And I genuinely believe that success came from grinding, really grinding harder, working harder, and leaving myself completely and totally exhausted. I was waking up at ridiculous hours every single day. I was working constantly. I was a grafter. I was always working constantly. I was pushing constantly. I was very in my masculine of doing, 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 doing. And then even I was always trying to prove myself constantly as well. And I was at a beautiful Kundalini meditation and yoga. It was just last night, and we were getting balance in the physical body. And I had so much balance, even still, I have so much balance on my right hand side in my masculine. But when I went to balance in my feminine, I was all over the place. That's because I was constantly in my masculine energy all the time. I was working harder, I was forcing, I was pushing. Yes, from the outside, life may have looked to other people, oh my goodness, they have a great life. Internally, I was completely broken. I was exhausted. I was not present. I was not even thinking. So, this is where I always thought that if I worked harder, life would eventually reward me. If I worked harder, life would eventually get better. And what I didn't realize at the time was that although my body was working hard, my mind was working against me. And this is the key understanding here today. You can work harder and harder and harder physically, okay? But if your mind is working against you, you may not bother working in the physical. I didn't understand beliefs. I didn't understand paradigms. I definitely didn't understand my subconscious programming. And I had no idea what identity was. I was living from, inherited thinking that had been picked up from family, thinking that had been picked up from society, from school experiences, maybe some fear along the way, or even survival. And this is what I really want people to understand today without blame, without judgment, because those beliefs that we have inherited came from people that was doing their best, that had no idea that they were embedding beliefs and programs and identity into each and every one of us. Every single one of us has been conditioned in the same way. Every single one of us, and there's absolutely no shame in that. Some people were taught to fear money. Some people were taught to fear success. Some people were, like, for me, I was taught to stay small. Don't be too loud. Don't be too confident. What's people going to think? Some people, like I know a lot of us were taught how to, struggle and life was normal. So even whenever we're learning that we had to constantly prove our worth over and over and over and over again, because so many of us have spent years believing that they simply have to play the hand that we were dealt in life, and that life is just the way it is. It's not. But what if there was a more available to you? This is where I want you to ask yourself. What if your current reality is not your final reality? Now, that would, like my current reality, 7 years ago, whenever I started this material, although my whole life I was doing the things, I was doing the energy healing, I was reading the books, I always had an underlying belief that there had to be more. but it was my body that was doing all the actions. It was my body that was doing all the physical things. But my mind, I didn't understand that the main secret in this material is how your mind is programmed. So I want to read you something from, it's a book that I'm studying at the moment. And I've been reading this book probably on and off, I would say 5 years ago. One of my first mentors, Bob Proctor, introduced me to Price Pritchard's U Squared. And it is a formula. This is what this book is. It's a formula. So this first page, it gave me a huge understanding. And it gave me a real underlying belief that I just have to move slightly. That's all. So if you bear with me while I read this, and I want you to just sit with it for a moment. Just sit with it for a moment. And if you wanted to order the book, it's available on Amazon. I highly recommend that you do. Read the book, understand the book, and apply it into your life. Okay? So there's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energy in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of a window pane. The whining wings tell a poignant story of the fly's strategy. So the fly had the same strategy that I had. Try harder. But it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, the little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. The fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. Across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks with only a fraction of effort. It could be free of its self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there. It would be so easy. Why does the fly try harder? Why does the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different. How did it get so locked in on the idea that this particular route and determined effort offer the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? Oh, someone's in the waiting room. 1 second. There we go. With more of the same. No doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that is going to kill it. Trying harder isn't necessarily the only solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it is a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances of success. Now, that first page, when I read that first page, it actually blew me away. I've read it time and time and time again. I've understood it at different levels throughout my journey. I have understood it at different levels. Now, whenever I see a fly on the window, that comes back to me. The window may be open, but the fly keeps banging and banging and banging against the window pane, thinking that it can get through. And this is, if we apply this into our life, okay, if we really look at our life and we understand that, okay, it may not be about trying harder, that life is not just the way it is. This isn't the hand that I've been dealt. Yes, up until this point, we can't change anything that has happened. Pardon me, we can't change where we've been. We can't change what has went on, but we can focus on where we're at now. So what if awareness changes everything for each and every one of you? Because that is where my life started to change. It didn't just change magically. It didn't just change with toxic positivity. It didn't change overnight. but it changed through awareness. I started becoming aware of my thoughts, aware of my reactions to life, and most definitely aware of the patterns. I studied me. I studied me for, oh my goodness, over and over and over and over again. I became aware of the stories that I was unconsciously repeating every single day. I really studied what I was saying about myself, to myself. I was aware of, what I was saying to other people as well. And the more that I developed my thinking, the more that my entire life started changing around me. The opportunities that came into my life completely changed. The relationships that I had totally changed. The confidence changed. My self-image changed. And I've just been handed a matcha. Thank you very much. So my income changed, my environment changed, my entire reality changed. Why? Because I changed my thinking towards it. I changed what was going on inside. And today I want to give you, every single person here, I want to give you permission to understand something really deeply. Your current life is not evidence of your limitation. Okay? Just remember that. Where you're at now at the moment, you don't have to stay there. We love who we are. I love every version of me. My current situation now, where I'm in, it's just feedback from my current awareness. It's feedback from the beliefs that I have, the identity that I have, and the patterns that's running in the background. Now, everyone nowadays wants everything instant. If I could go back to who I was it's about 7 years now, and say, okay, it's in 7 years' time, you're going to be living here, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be this, this, and this, I wouldn't have believed myself because my imagination wouldn't have allowed me to stretch that far. Now, where I'm going, the version of me now, and where I'm going within a year, I'm so excited because how my life has completely transformed, and it hasn't been all roses in the garden. There's been adversity. There's been adversity showed up quite a lot. There has been obstacles. There has been blockages. There has been fallouts. There's been so much because life is still going to happen. But whenever you're developing your mindset so much and you're shifting your awareness and you're shifting the beliefs that you have, you're shifting your identity, you're shifting your energy, and all that should feel really, really empowering. But because if something has created, something's created one way, it can be recreated another way. So if the life that you're living now and you're not completely satisfied with the life that you're living and you're not completely satisfied with how you're showing up, you can actually recreate the way you want it to be. Now, when people hear the word manifestation, and I'll say this quite often, they think of money or cars or houses or relationships or success. And when I talk to people, they're saying, I don't know what I want. When they're talking about goals, they think straight away of the physical things. They think about, well, I want this amount of money, or I want this type of house, and yes, manifestation includes all those things. It definitely does. But manifestation to me is so much deeper than that. So much deeper than that. Don't get me wrong, I love my nice things. I love my beautiful apartment here in the south of Spain. I love the fact that I can come and go and travel and be back in Ireland when I want, go to France when I want. I love that understanding. Okay, that is coming from my awareness. But manifestation is so much deeper. It's understanding that your inner world is influencing your outer world. And you don't have to go anywhere or do anything. Like we travel back and forth to America. We lived in Manhattan for 2 years. We were back in Ireland. We were here. That's how I want to live my life. But the one common denominator in every location that I have been is me. It's me. My thoughts matter. You can move country, you can move jobs, you can move relationships, you can do it all. But you're the most common denominator. You're taking yourself with you in all these different places. Okay? Your beliefs matter. Your assumptions matter. And oh my goodness, your identity matters so much more. Because you can never outperform the identity that you have of yourself. The way that you see yourself matters, because the mind is constantly searching for evidence. And that evidence is going to confirm what you believe to be true. So if you believe that manifestation is whatever, you're going to see evidence. If you believe that you can, you're going to see evidence that you can. If you're going to be looking for a sign, you'll see the signs. So your mind is always searching. Your mind is constantly go, 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 go. If you're living in an old story, if you're living in the past, if you're reliving a relationship that didn't serve you, whether it's friendship, whether it is romantic, whether it's a work relationship, you will continue to see evidence to confirm and to, confirm what you believe to be true about that. So if somebody believes it's hard, the mind will notice that it's a hardship. If you believe that you are an early riser, the mind is going to notice that. The mind is you're going to wake up early. But if somebody believes they are unsupported, the mind notices the rejection. So every time that you believe opportunities maybe never work out for you, I've had so many conversations. Manifestation doesn't work for me. I tried that, doesn't work for me. And that's a belief. Does that belief serve you? Because the mind is unconsciously going to look for evidence of that disappointment. And again, this is not blame. Guys, this is just awareness. And awareness is one of the most powerful things a human being can have. And you all have it. You all have it. Because once you become aware, you have a choice. You have a choice. And sometimes it can be even there last month, I continue to work on myself. I'm not telling my clients to do something that I don't do on a daily basis. Excuse me. I continue to work on myself. Continue to become aware. I continue to look for, what my beliefs are, what doesn't serve me, what belief here is running in the background that doesn't serve me. Let me become aware of it. Because the awareness, once you become aware of it, that is when you can change it. That's when you have a choice whether to do it again or to remove it. That's where your freedom begins. And I was sitting on a flight back from Ireland. I was flying into France before we moved down here to Spain for the summer. And it was very much so I was asking for an awareness of what blockages have I got at the moment? What does not serve me? And there was so much came up on that flight. I mean, so much came up on that flight. And I released it all. And I released it through journaling. I released it through crying. I released it through, and I mean, really ugly crying. God loved the air hosts and the air hostess on that flight because they were thinking, what is going on with her? But that was me shifting the energy. It was me becoming aware and then starting again, and then starting again, and then starting again. So remember, this is where your freedom is. And I think for so many people, true freedom is not just financial. A lot of people think it is, but the more money's a magnifier. Okay, the more money you have, it magnifies who you believe yourself to be anyway. So true freedom is emotional. It's freedom to think differently. And for me, it was very much mental freedom. It's freedom to think that I am able and capable to achieve what I want to achieve. And then your financials are all going to change anyway. It's freedom to believe differently than what you've thought of before. To stop living from fear. Freedom to stop constantly waiting for life to begin. I waited and I waited and I waited and thinking, right, it's going to change now. It's going to be this way. It's going to be that way. But I waited, but I didn't take any steps to change it. It's freedom to wake up in the morning and to genuinely enjoy your life. I wake naturally now, probably at the moment not as early as what I used to, but freedom to step outside, go for a swim in the ocean. And that to me, I was sitting in the sand and I was meditating and I was just going, this is just the life that I designed. I designed this, I rehearsed it, I wrote it out, and it has happened. It's freedom to really decide and to be the architect of how you want to live your life. Growth is allowed to be joyful, okay? Growth can sometimes be as if you feel torn, but you're allowed to feel joyful and living your life. Transformation is allowed to feel actually loving as well. You don't have to, for me, and I'm only speaking from my own experience, is that as I was growing in my awareness and shifting my life, I remember someone saying to me way at the beginning of my journey that you're going to be on a different vibration and you're going to leave people behind and I thought, no, for my belief system is that that doesn't have to happen. If I love everyone and I want my life to be like this, my belief is it's going to be like that. So even when you're taking beliefs of other people, it can be quite an expectation for yourself then that this is going to happen. So how quick can you accept an idea? So the quicker that you can accept an idea, the quicker that you can transform. So I believe people are powerful, each and every one of you. I believe that people are so capable. I believe that I can get my clients to where they need to be or where they want to be. I believe that each and every one of you have the capabilities to live that life. Because you're allowed to grow from self-respect instead of self-criticism. We judge ourselves, we criticize ourselves, the conversations that we have with ourselves. Oh my goodness, if the conversations that you're having in your head is on a speaker and everyone around you can hear you, hear what you're thinking, would you continue to think that thought? Absolutely not. We're all allowed to evolve from love instead of shame. How many of us has been shaming ourselves? Because so much personal development has taught people to constantly feel broken. That is something that I want to eliminate. Completely eliminate. That there was something wrong with me whenever I started personal development. That was a thought that I had. And it's can be quite toxic to believe that. Oh, you have to be sitting meditating all day long and everything's great and powerful and joyful and happy and then I wasn't getting it and I was going, oh my goodness, what am I doing wrong here? So that was what taught me to constantly feel broken. It doesn't. I don't believe that anymore. I believe that people are far more limitless than they even realize. If I can take out of my head and put it into yours and show you the possibilities that each and every one of you have, it would blow your mind. I wasn't ready to receive that information at the very start of my journey. Sometimes they simply haven't been shown another way to think yet. That's all. That's all. The for me is the what I felt was wrong with me at the beginning. I just wasn't shown another way that I could think. And that's why these next 3 days matter so much. Because I don't want this to become more information for any of you. That you write it down and never apply. And no matter what, so many of us, and I have been on so many different programs, I have been on so many different of these calls over and over and over again. And I gathered information and I gathered it and I gathered it and I gathered it. But what I did with it, I kept it in my conscious mind. And oh my goodness, could I repeat it? Yes. I could have repeated, I knew it, but I never applied it. So I want this to become a moment where something genuinely shifts within each and every one of you. The more open you are to receiving this material, the quicker things are going to shift. And maybe for the first time, you're going to start seeing yourself differently. Showing up authentically. You don't have to be anybody else. I believe for years I had to change who I was. Now, I am me. I don't have to change who I believe myself to be. I don't have to change so what someone else thinks of me. And maybe for the first time, you're going to realize your future doesn't have to mirror your past. Your future doesn't have to have anything to do with your past at all. So, where my future is going is so far removed from my past, so far removed from who I believe myself to be. So far, and even someone asked me a question recently about hospitality. I was in hospitality for a lifetime. And someone asked me a question about hospitality. I was like, I don't know. Oh my goodness, I was so far out of that. And even before that, previously, I was an amazing hairdresser. And a lot of people would still know me as from being a hairdressing days. And a friend was visiting this weekend and she was all, I love a curl in my hair. And I was going, okay, I can do my own, but let me think, let me rethink here. It was so funny. So this is where I want you to see that your future has nothing to do with your past. Your future has nothing to do with what has happened in your life. And then maybe for the first time, you're going to begin to understand that your thoughts, them thoughts that's flowing through you, your beliefs, your identity, and most definitely the energy that you have. We all have an amazing energy. They're shaping your experience of the life that you're living every single day. And for this, for instance, okay, I was sitting earlier on and I went to make myself a cup of tea, even in the south of Spain. I still like my tea. And I was going, oh, I'd love a matcha, but I've ran out of coconut milk. And I was going to make one. And then my daughter walks in and hands me, they've been away for the all morning and they walk in. And that's the energy that you're emitting. So it might be something as simple. Test it out. It might be something as simple as just getting a matcha. But when you know what you want, you have no idea how it's going to show up. So one of the greatest teachings that changed my life came from understanding one idea. You move towards what you continually hold in your mind. That's it. Don't get bogged down with thinking negative thoughts or thinking it's not going to happen or then feeling blame and thinking, oh my goodness, I created that to happen. What you repeatedly think about, what you emotionally attach to it, what you identify with, okay? What you expect, joyful expectation of life. And I'm not talking about this just being on surface level. I'm talking unconsciously. You can say the things, you can show up a certain way, you can say it verbally, but see whenever you are by yourself and that quiet, unconscious conversation that you're having with yourself, that is what's shaping your reality. The most, say it again, the most dominating thoughts is what's shaping your reality. Because you can say, yes, it's going to happen. Yes, I'm making this happen. Yes, I'm making that happen. But unconsciously, what's going on there? I can't do, I'm not good enough. Like it's all the quiet ones that you're maybe not even aware of. And that's why I say to myself every single morning, I want to be aware what is my limiting belief. Because as we grow along our journey, we will hit our upper limiting beliefs. Because identity drives your behaviour. If you think that you can't, you most definitely won't, and that's part of your behaviour. And your behaviour is your repeated, whatever behaviour that you repeat shows up in your results. If somebody identifies as confident, something I never had confidence because I moved differently when I wasn't confident. I reprogrammed myself and I rewrote my script and I became confident. I'm so confident in everything that I do. I have so much belief in everything that I do. I show up in every aspect of my life being confident. And then I move differently now than who I was before. If somebody identifies as being worthy, you're going to choose differently. You're not going to have lower standards. You're going to have really high standards if you identify yourself as being worthy. If you know that you're capable, you're going to act differently. So today, all I simply want you to do is just begin observing. This is all today's about. Just observe who you currently believe yourself to be without judgment. And I'm telling you, get judgment as far away from you as possible. And don't criticize. Criticism is a really low vibration. Get that out of here. Not thinking, oh my goodness, I don't have this amount in the bank account. This is my job, or I'm doing this, or that's happening. That's criticism. We don't do that here. Okay? We don't compare ourselves. Most definitely do not compare ourselves. If you are looking at someone else for inspiration, that's fine. But don't compare yourself. Comparison is a thief of joy. So without judgment, without criticism, and without making yourself wrong, I just want you to observe who you currently believe yourself to be. Just awareness. That is it. Because awareness changes lives. And it's not just trying to pretend, oh, I am amazing, I'm a leader, I am fantastic. That's all conscious thinking. We're going deeper. We're really starting to study ourselves. Because this is where your life is going to start changing. And over these next 3 days, I want to help you expand that awareness. But you have to be aware of where you're at first before we can expand it. You get me? So I want you to understand your mind, that you have a mind first and foremost. I didn't even know I had one. Now I'm coaching on it. I didn't even know I had a mind. I thought it was my brain. So that's the shift from where I was. Now I study it like a scientist. And then we have to understand that our identity, what our identity is, the energy that you're putting out there, the emotional world that you're living in, the beliefs that's shaping your life now in the physical world around you. And then we're going to understand your possibilities. Some people say that's not possible for me. Oh, I have to wait 5 years. I have to wait till this happens. I have to wait till the kids are out of school. I have to wait till this. I have to wait till this. Oh, it's easy for you. I had that conversation yesterday. Someone saying, oh, that's easy for you. I've got this, this, and this. I was all, no, it's not. I had that, that, and that. So everything starts with a decision. Okay? This isn't so that you become someone else. It's not about changing who you are. It's not about becoming somebody else at all. But it is so that you remember who you are underneath all the fear, who you are underneath all the limitations, not who you used to be, and not going back to where you were before this happened or that happened, but elevating into that version of you before conditioning, before survival. Because I genuinely, genuinely believe that there's greatness inside each and every one of you human beings. I believe there's intelligence inside you, creativity inside you, power that you have no idea that we're just going to tap onto this power, vision, and possibility. And sometimes all it takes is one moment, one decision, one shift in awareness. And when you have that one shift in awareness, your entire life, oh my goodness, the entire different life then begins to unfold for you. And if I could put it in literally in a presentation here of where I was to where I'm at now, I don't like comparing where I was to where I'm at. It's not something I do. But oh my goodness, it's like night and day. And whenever I talk about being in survival mode, you've no idea the survival that I was in. But when you, okay, just maybe when you make that decision, at the minute you're going, how's it possible? How's it going to happen? How, you're asking all the questions. But maybe, just maybe it begins here today. Maybe it begins for you in this moment. So over these next 3 days, I'm going to simply ask you to stay open. Just open to new ideas instead of knocking them down. How many times do we shut down new ideas straight away? That idea came to me and it sounds amazing, but it's not possible for me to do it. I've said it many times myself. You wouldn't have the idea if you were not capable of achieving it. How many times does an idea come up and we think, we knock it down, and then when we knock it down, someone else a few months down the line has the same idea, and you're going, "Oh shit, I thought about that." So it comes to us. We reject it. Oh my goodness, my arms are sore today. We reject it, and then someone else picks up that idea, and then we kick ourselves and think, "Oh, why did I not do that?" All I want you to be is open to observing yourself differently. That's it. And I'm not sitting here just, trying to make your head bigger, saying the possibilities that you have and how amazing you have are. What I'm saying is that we're in these physical bodies, but you have so much untapped power inside you. I want you to be open to growth. I want you to be open to joy. Joyful expectation. That is my word for this year as well. I just have so much joyful expectation. I want you to be open to expansion. Because your life, oh my goodness, your life can change. And I know this because mine did. And if it happened for me, it most definitely will happen for you. So now before we go any deeper today, okay, I want to say something really, really, really important, that most people are trying to change their life without ever slowing down long enough to observe their life. And if you speak to any of my one-to-one clients, I have each and every one of them slowing down. I have each and every one of them going for spas, meditation. I have all of them taking time to slow down. And that's where so much frustration comes from as well. Because when you're trying to change your life, and this is the key point, and you're not observing where you're at now at the moment, you're trying to force change without even awareness. You're trying to force, well, I want that, or I want this physical thing, or I want that thing, and you're trying to make it happen. You're trying to create differently with thinking the exact same way that you did before. That way of thinking doesn't serve you. That way of thinking got you to where you're at now. We have to shift that way of thinking. If you want to get from here to here, we have to have a total different way of thinking. Some people's trying to build a complete new reality from the same identity. That's not going to happen. You have to shift who you believe yourself to be. Your identity, you will never outperform your identity. I update my identity all the time. All the time. Who do I believe myself to be? And it's not just about the physical. It's not just saying something willy-nilly and saying, oh, I believe myself to be this, or I believe myself to be that. I sit down and I really observe myself. And I say, right, well, if I want to get here, okay, this person who's living this type of life, who is she? What does she believe about herself? What does she do on a daily basis? What shit does she not take on board? Where does she communicate? How does she communicate? How does she serve? And this is it. Because most people were never taught to become aware of themselves. I was never taught to become aware of myself. I was taught how to survive. I was taught how to get through life. I was taught how to fit in, how to work, even going to school. We're taught how to get a job. We're not taught how to live life. I was taught how to please others and how to keep going. But very few people were taught how to truly understand their own mind. That's all we're doing here. We're understanding our own mind. And so few of us were taught that beliefs influence our behaviour. And we were taught that thoughts, oh my goodness, who ever would have believed that thoughts repeated constantly begin to shape identity? I didn't even know what identity was. I didn't even know what awareness was. I sat at the beginning of my journey with what do you call it, Google, putting in all these words. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? I had no idea. And then now I'm teaching this. So when we start to shape and understand that our subconscious mind stores patterns, it stores emotional reactions, it stores the assumptions that we have, it stores the programs that's influencing our life on a daily, day-to-day journey. And the most amazing thing about it is that most people are living from subconscious patterns that we didn't even choose ourselves. What's your pattern around money? What do you believe about money? See, the moment I say money, that first thought that comes up, what do you believe about it? When I say love, do you feel that you have to earn love? What's your pattern about success? Do you believe the more successful you are, the less you're going to be liked? Do you believe, these are really interesting patterns. The pattern around visibility. Do you want to be seen? Do you hide away? Do you shy away? Do you sit at the back of the room? I was that person. I sat at the back of the room. I would have stood in and maybe stood behind someone. Now, if I'm not on stage, I'm at the very front row because my belief about visibility is completely shifted. My belief and patterns about worthiness. So many of us has lack in worthiness. And a great one, it just came into my mind there now. What is your pattern about receiving? Now, when I talk about receiving, if someone goes to offer you something, whether it is a drink, a coffee, whether it is a compliment, what do you do? Do you shut it down straight away? So many of these patterns started way, way, way before we even realized they existed. They were embedded, they were accepted, and when they were accepted, then because a child watches how adults respond to stress. I have an 11-year-old, and she watches how people speak about money. She watches about relationships. She watches, people that's got fear. That's all ingrained. And ideas can be accepted really, really easy. She repeated something to me the other day about allergies, and it was something that she heard. And she said, "Oh, can allergies start this?" And I thought, "Is that a belief that's going to serve you?" And she was all, "Yes, but can they?" And I was all, "I don't believe they can, but that's my belief. It's down to your belief because this is where children watches how we respond to everything. It watches limitation. If I have limitation, I'm going to pass it on to her. If I have confidence, that child, 11 years old, could have an adult conversation. She knows to look someone in the eye. She knows to a really strong handshake. She knows how to present herself. And that is because her beliefs are going to form from what she's seeing from adults around her. Not because anybody is bad or not because anybody has failed or not because anybody, but it's simply because human beings absorb information constantly. We are absorbing information constantly. And what becomes familiar becomes normal. So whatever you're surrounding yourself with on a daily basis, okay, you become the sum of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Why? Because you're absorbing that information all the time. It is what is normal for you. So if you are spending your time with, the goers, the doers, the beers, the people that wants to really elevate, you're going to become, that's going to be normal for you. If you're spending your time with people that can't be bothered, that couldn't be asked, it's going to become normal for you. So this is why 2 people can experience the exact same opportunity and respond to it completely differently. How many times have we said, why did it work out for them and that didn't work out for this? And why? Why? Because familiar becomes normal. So one person sees possibility and the other person is going to see danger. Oh my goodness, no, what happens if that doesn't work out? One person's going to see expansion, the other person's going to see risk. So what do you want to see? One person's going to move towards the growth. They're going to see the growth and they're going to go at it and they're going to see it and they're going to do it. Another person's going to pull back into safety and be afraid. Neither person is wrong. They're just simply responding from a different internal programming. But what happens, even in business and relationships, we're going to cast that blame out. I knew this was going to work. You didn't want to do it and it's your fault. So many times that happens. But we have to look at this understanding that there's no right or no wrong in this journey. Every single person that is surrounding you at the moment is responding from a different internal programming. We are all programmed, each and every one of us. We're all playing the game of life through the programming that we have. But this is where awareness becomes so powerful. Because once you are aware of a pattern, you are no longer unconsciously controlled by it. Once you're aware of that pattern, you're saying, right, well, I don't want to do that anymore. You won't do it. Awareness creates space. So when I'm talking about awareness, it creates that space from the knowing it and actually doing it. Inside that space, that's where choice shows up. That's where choice begins to appear. And this is why awareness changes everything. Not because awareness magically fixes your life overnight, and it won't. I will never say that to anyone. It doesn't fix your life. It doesn't fix your life overnight. 6 weeks into this material, my life started shifting, changing. But because your awareness is going to allow you to stop living on autopilot. People would say to me, how quick does this material start to work? I can't give them an answer because I can't guarantee what you're going to put into it. How quick can you accept an idea? Are you going to study it? Are you going to apply it? Are you going to put it into your life? But I was living on autopilot my entire life. And I had no choice. I had completely broken whenever I started my journey. I was completely, maybe not even I'll use that word broken, but I had hit rock bottom and there was only one way up. And I just studied it like a scientist and I seen the shifts, I seen the changes, I loved it, I absolutely adored the material. And this is where my passion came in now, that I want people to get to where I was. I think so many people are exhausted because they're living unconsciously, repeating these emotional patterns every single day. They're going over the same worries. They're reliving old stories, the same fears, oh my goodness, the same doubts. What happens if this doesn't work? What happens if we fail? What happens if this product doesn't take off? What happens? It's exhausting. It's emotional. These are emotional patterns. They're going over the same assumptions, the same loops over and over and over again. And over time, those patterns begin shaping your identity. I'm always stressed. I'm always unlucky. Nothing ever works out for me. I have to work harder. Oh my goodness. And then whenever you're saying I have to work harder, are you getting a bit of benefit from that? What other people think that you're working harder? Life is so difficult. So these are all words and patterns that shape an identity that you all have. So when something is repeated long enough, the mind starts accepting it. So how many times did you fall down when you were learning how to walk? How many times did you have to go on that bike before you started cycling? How many times were you repeating the word dada, mama over and over and over and over again until you started speaking it? Like my daughter's speaking, she's learning Spanish at the moment. And even when she was learning French, it was just all repeated over and over and over and over again until she could actually speak it. So your mind is going to start accepting the truth, what you keep giving it. So this is why the way we speak to ourselves is so important. It matters so much. This is why the thoughts we rehearse every single day. I'm brushing my teeth and I brush them recommended in two minutes. And over those 2 minutes, I am telling myself who I am, what I want to achieve, how I want to do it. And Bella's the same. So this is why it's so important. You're looking at yourself in the mirror. I talk about mirror work all the time. You see yourself, you're talking to yourself. And when you're continually doing this every day, you're rehearsing what really matters to you. And this is why your identity matters. This is why your mind is always listening. Your nervous system is always listening. Your subconscious mind is always listening, constantly. And you may not think it is, but whenever you're giving off to yourself and criticizing yourself and you're looking in the mirror for the flaws of what is wrong and how can I change this, instead of looking for the flaws, look at your mirror and look in the mirror and see what is great about yourself. One of the biggest shifts in my own life happened when I stopped constantly asking myself what's wrong with me. And I started going, right, what have I been conditioned to believe about myself? And it's not just about the physical body, it's about the thought patterns. Because it created, like, this question changed everything because for me, it created compassion instead of criticism. So I have compassion for myself. It created awareness instead of shame. I'm not as far ahead as everyone else. I'm not doing this. I don't have that. I don't do that. Because from that place, real growth became possible. Why? Because growth doesn't flourish in shame or criticism or doubt, blame. Growth for each and every one of us and awareness, okay? It flourishes when you're joyful about yourself and honesty. You can't live a false life. I can't be someone on camera and someone else off camera because the growth's not going to flourish that way. Authenticity, integrity is two of my main words. Being your truly authentic self. It takes away all, the worry what other people think about you. Your growth is going to flourish in understanding. It's going to flourish in your self-respect. And I think people underestimate the power that each and every one of you have. How powerful self-awareness truly actually is. Because when somebody becomes aware of their thinking, they can begin changing their direction. And it's so powerful. Direction matters. So if you imagine that bag, maybe see a plastic bag flowing in the wind. There's no direction. It has no idea where it's going. Okay? Everything's happening on default. You just kind of disconnected from everything. Doesn't matter. You're just floating around. Life follows your dominant direction. This is why direction matters. Your thoughts have a direction. Okay, so whenever you have, we'll go into goals and everything further down the line, but whenever you have that direction that you're going to, you're stepping into, my friends left to head back to Ireland yesterday and they got into an Uber and that Uber was taking them to the airport. That was their destination. So they were going that way. May have some diversions on the way, but that was where the destination was. Your thoughts needs to have that destination. Your focus needs to have that destination. Okay? So what direction? Are they serving you? Is it not serving you? Your energy, the energy that you're focused on, the energy that you're putting out, what you're allowing to come to and through you, your emotional state has direction as well. And if somebody spends years focusing on fear, focusing on stress, survival, oh my goodness, survival. And I'm telling you, I was in survival mode for a long time. Or pressure, disappointment. What's going to happen to the physical body? Eventually, the body and the mind begins to expect to feel that way. It expects to feel the fear. Not because life is against you, okay? But because repetition creates familiarity. So what are you repeating to yourself over and over again? One of the things that I always learned was, money goes to money. I heard that millions of times. No, it doesn't. It's what you're familiar with. Familiarity feels true. This is why today is not about judging your current life. Today is about observing it. Observing your thoughts, observing your emotional patterns, observing your assumptions. What do you assume to be true? What's the stories that you're repeatedly telling yourself over and over and over again? Because the moment awareness enters, change becomes available for you. So I want you to really understand that you're not powerless. The power that you have within you is, oh my goodness, is limitless. You're not fixed. You're not a tree. You can move. Okay? You're not fixed at all. You're not trapped in one identity forever. Human beings are capable of amazing transformation. Amazing transformation. I'm 7 months into a hair transformation at the moment, just going au natural. But it's not just the physical transformation, it's the internal transformation. I've seen people completely change their confidence. I've seen people completely change their finances, relationships, self-worth. I've seen people heal themselves. I've seen them change their careers, their emotional well-being, and not because they became different human beings overnight, but because they slowly began changing the way they saw themselves. And when self-image changes, your behaviour changes dramatically. When behaviour changes, results change. And then when your results change, what's the main thing that changes is your life. Your life completely changes. So this is why today matters so much. Because today is planting awareness for you. And awareness is the beginning of everything. Awareness is the beginning of transformation. So being aware, first and foremost. Not judgment, not criticism, not blame, not who you were, not what you are, not what you believe about yourself. Just scrap it all. Scrap it all, okay? So this is one of the most important things that I could ever teach another human being. Your identity shapes your reality. That's it. Your identity is shaping your reality now, not in a fluffy way. I don't do positive, toxic positivity at all. I don't, okay? Not just kind of just think positive. It's not that way at all, but it truly does. Your identity shapes your reality in a very real way. Because every single day, your identity influences your thoughts. It influences the decisions that you make, your emotional reactions to life, the behaviors that you have, your standards. Oh my goodness, do you know what your standards are? Do you have standards? It's shaping what you unconsciously believe that you're available for in life. We can say we want to live this type of life. We want to go here and do that, and then whenever you get invited to it, you say, no, I'm not available for that. And that's all coming from the identity that you have. Most people never stop long enough to ask themselves, what do I actually believe about myself? Who do I currently believe myself to be? Not who do I want to be? Not who do I pretend to be online or who other people think about me? Who do I currently believe I am? Who do you genuinely believe, yourself to be when nobody else is watching? Because that identity is driving everything. It drives what you tolerate. It drives what you pursue. It drives what you avoid as well. And what you believe to be possible for yourself. What do you believe that you deserve? What do you believe that you deserve? And this is where self-image becomes so important. You can know about it, and I'm sure each and every one of you know about self-image. But knowing it isn't enough. It's studying it, it's understanding it, and changing it. So your self-image is the picture that you hold of yourself internally. And whether people realize it or not, human beings are constantly acting in alignment with that internal picture. If somebody sees themselves, as I said, as confident, you're going to naturally just move differently. If you see yourself as valuable in your job and your position and your relationship, you are going to communicate differently. You're going to take different actions if you see that you know that you're capable of it. Again, there's no judgment here, just awareness. Because you can give two people that exact same strategy there now that I give you. And one person's going to thrive while the other person struggles. Why? Identity. If they believe that they can't, they won't. That's as simple as that. So this is why inner work matters so much. Because your external life is constantly interacting with that internal world. So while you're sitting, okay, and maybe observing different situations at work, different friendships, different things that's happening in your external life that you're not happy with, what's the most common denominator? Without judgment, without blame, is how you think about it. So this is why inner work, if you study yourself and your inner work, everything externally from you is going to completely shift. Now, I remember years believing that freedom existed outside of me. I thought that freedom would arrive once that I worked hard enough, once that I achieved enough, once that I moved country, once that I got the job, once that I earned enough money or proved to other people, once that I was probably more in a financial stable situation. But true freedom started when my identity began changing and when I started seeing myself differently. So it started whenever I stopped identifying as exhausted, as overwhelmed. It stopped when I stopped identifying as somebody that constantly was just surviving. And I began slowly seeing myself as somebody so capable, so powerful, so grounded and so supported in everything that I did and available for so much more. So I am available for so much more in my life now. And I really want people to hear this really deeply today. Your identity is not fixed. It can evolve. It can shift. But today, the main thing that I want you to be aware of is what you believe about yourself now. Who do you believe yourself to be? And it's one of the greatest gifts that you're ever going to give yourself is permission to stop defining yourself as who you used to be. And then really start seeing yourself as who you want to be. So you're going to start now showing up differently. So showing up differently becomes the beginning of everything changing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow for day 2. And trust me, we're just getting started. We are literally just getting started. Thank you today for your openness. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your willingness to grow. And most importantly, thank yourself. Thank yourself for being here. Okay? So I will see you all tomorrow. Have the most beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you, Mel.
My pleasure.